This is kind of distracting having both screens going.
Good morning. It's Molly here with my oldest son, Aiden. And Aiden has been doing some work with YWAM and Circuit Rider.
We did a lot of, we traveled around and did a lot of college campus like events and just ministry on college campuses this last year. And so it was actually while we were on tour this last year, in the spring, when I just got wrecked. I was reading Exodus and I just got wrecked by this passage, and so I'm super stoked to be able to share a little bit with you guys today. So just to give, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Just to give a little bit of context about where this passage is at. It's in Exodus 31, and at this point, they are traveling to the Promised Land. Moses is leading the Israelites, and God is talking to Moses and giving him all of the rules and regulations and how to do everything, and just teaching him basically how to do everything. So there's a lot of rules and just regulations and different stuff like that. And so as I was reading through it, I was definitely like, oh, it's like a little dry, like kind of trying to get like parts out of it. But then when I hit Exodus 31, I just got totally wrecked. And it's something that definitely, like, if you read it through the first time, you might not notice it, but I just dug in right here and got crazy blessed from it. So I'm super stoked to share a little bit with you guys about what that was. So the passage is Exodus 31, and I'm just going to read 1-5 here. Let's take a look. If you guys would like to read along with me, you are very welcome to. I'll be reading in NIV. Then the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have chosen Bezaleel, son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of crafts." So that is, it's just a little short little bit there, but I just got, I was so struck by how the Lord spoke to Moses about this one specific man, Bezaleel. And I just thought there are so many cool little parts of this that I'm super stoked to dive into. So I'm literally just going to break it down bit by bit, and we'll just talk about what's going on. So the first two little verses there, God, he said to Moses, "I've chosen Bezaleel, son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah." And I feel like a lot of times I read through the Bible and I see genealogy and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, it's just like unimportant details. Sometimes I know it can feel like that, but I just think this is so cool that God specifically calls out Bezaleel. Like he says, like he gives Moses the name, like, hey, like I'm talking about Bezaleel. And not only does he know like Bezaleel's name, but he knows who his dad is. He knows like his lineage. He knows where he's from. And I just think that's so cool that when he's calling Bezaleel into like his calling and into his mission, he calls him out so personally, like knowing who he is, knowing his family, knowing where he's from. And the next part, verse 3 is, "And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills." I just think this is so cool that he's calling Bezaleel into something, but he's not leaving him unequipped or just giving him the idea and saying, okay, well, now you can just do whatever you want. He's saying, no, like I'm giving you my Spirit. I'm leaving with you wisdom. I'm leaving with you understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills. Like everything Bezaleel could have needed, God has given him. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you the skill. I'm going to give you the understanding of how you want to do it, the wisdom of how to go about doing it, the knowledge of like your craft. And most importantly, God left with Bezaleel his Spirit, and he's filled him with the Spirit of God, which I just think is the coolest thing, because it's like not only is he getting all these practical things, but the Lord is saying, you know what, here's also my Spirit that I'm leaving with you. And we all know that whenever God like is involved with anything, it always goes well, and he's never lost a battle. So he's basically promising victory and promising success in his craft and in what he's calling him into. I think that's just the sickest thing ever. And the next part, verse 4, he says, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze. And this is just, again, like this is just such a short little snippet, but I just think it's so cool that he says to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze. Like, it's not just, okay, I'm giving you this straightforward thing. Here's like the laying out the instructions, like one by one by one by one. But God's saying, no, like I'm giving you the freedom to take these things I'm giving you and to have artistic freedom and to have creative freedom and to express yourself through the way the mission that I'm giving you. So to make artistic designs. I also was so struck by the idea that this was like the first time in the Bible where the Lord's given someone like an artistic mission or like a creative mission. So yeah, so the first calling to be creative right here, Bezaleel, I just think it's the coolest thing ever. The next part says, this is like the last little bit, but it says to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of crafts. I just think it's cool because he's saying like, okay, I'm not just bringing you here so you can work in gold, silver, and bronze. Like you're going to do that, but also to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and also to engage in all kinds of crafts. So I just think this is like such a picture of how the Lord calls us into our mission, and not just to do like one thing, not just like a little sliver of like, okay, like I'm going to keep you in your niche and you're just going to do your job. But the Lord's saying, no, like I'm giving you multiple outlets, like multiple mediums, and also all kinds of things I'm going to bring you into. So I just think that's the coolest thing, that he's like, yeah, he's calling Bezaleel not just into one little thing, but he's saying, you know what, you're going to do all kinds of stuff. You're going to do, stones, working in wood, to engage in all kinds of crafts. Yeah, so that's just, I mean, that it was just such a short little bit, but I was so stoked on that and so like encouraged by the way that the Lord called out Bezaleel. And I just think it's so cool because this is just it's such an awesome story, just like looking back and seeing how the Lord did that for Bezaleel. But also I think it's so like beautiful that this is how like the Lord calls us into our mission, into our calling as well. Just like how God did it for Bezaleel, God also, for us, he gives us all the things we need, or he calls us out. He identifies us just like how he called out Bezaleel. Like he calls us out by name. He knows us. He knows like every part of us, like the small details, like who our family is and where we're from. And he knows everything about us. And he calls us out by name, specifically saying, hey, you, like, I want you for this mission. And I want you to do this thing that I'm bringing you into. And not only that, but he gives us all the things we need to do the things that he's calling us to. So whatever thing he could possibly like bring us into, he's given us like all the strength. He's given us all the wisdom, all the understanding, the knowledge, and all the skills that we need to do all the things. So I just think that's super cool that he wouldn't just lead us into something without giving us all those things. And most importantly, in that piece, he gives us his spirit. Like he leaves his spirit with us, so that we have a never-ending source of strength and of guidance. And that's just the coolest thing ever, that he not only is he like, go do this, but he's also like, and also I'm coming with you and we're gonna like work on it together. Yeah. And the next thing that God did to Bezaleel, that he does to us, is he commissions us into a mission, like the calling over our life. And he calls us to unique missions. And not only that, but just like how God says to Bezaleel, I call you into, all kinds of crafts. The Lord isn't just limiting us to one kind of thing or one medium for our craft, but he's saying, I'm going to call you into like all kinds of crafts. And there's such a wide scope of things that he's going to call us into, and such a wide scope of mediums, and yeah, just things like that the Lord's going to call us into, that we won't even be able to fully understand all the things that the Lord's going to call us into, like into our mission. So yeah, that just encouraged me so much. And I hope that encourages you guys. I just want you guys to know that, just after I read this, I just knew like the Lord sees me, and he knows me, and he's calling me into something so specific, and he's equipped me for it. And also just the freedom to be creative. Like I just was so struck by Bezaleel being like the first creative like in the Bible. I mean, besides like God, obviously, but just like that the Lord calls us into not just like following this like 3 or like 5-step plan or whatever, but he calls us into such a I believe there is a call to creativity in this time of uncertainty. Some are waiting for clarity or for direction, but what they really need is permission to express and create. And it's not just artists, it includes them, but it is for all of us to create form where there is a void, to bring beauty, order where there's chaos. Yeah. And I just think that's like the coolest. It's easy for us to just go about our everyday lives and like not think about like being creative, but the Lord has created us to be such creative. So yeah, I think that's huge. Anything else?
No, good job.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sign off.